Hello, YouTube. Uh, we have the first of an educational video for you. And this may or may not have anything to do with any other videos you've ever watched. Today, we're going to go through a little story time, and look at some volunteer types of things going on in the world. Um, and last time I checked, the uh, defamatory post in Sis Is This Your Man? It's Are We Dating the Same Guy group, posted by the owner of Fire Mecca, is still up. Still up last time I checked. Not really sure why, but that's still there. And before we go into this educational content, still haven't seen any sort of public apology, public um, recognition, admission, or apology of any of the false allegations, defamatory statements, doxing, or threats made by the owner of Fire Mecca, and or acknowledgement by any other business partners of false accusations. Um, the doxing has been covered in other videos on this channel. Um, and we're here to seek truth and do the right thing. And I said in another video about people who do the right thing. Talked about that a little bit, so you can look forward to that. But essentially, a lot of times it's young children, toddlers that you have to, teach to do the right thing. Um, and when adults, sit on the fence, they're not sure if they should do the right thing. Um, you know, Makes you wonder a little bit. Um, and a lot of times, yeah, like it's little kids, toddlers that think, oh, they have to learn to do the right thing because maybe, they steal candy from the candy jar and think no one will know, and they're supposed to learn, oh, you don't lie and you do the right thing, okay? And then maybe sometimes when someone's like a teenager or something, maybe they like give in to their lower self and maybe like cheat on a test or something, and but they'll get caught, and they're supposed to learn to do the right thing, and so hopefully by the time they become an adult, when a moral decision is facing them, it's pretty quick and easy to just say, oh, I know what the right thing to do is. So we're gonna go over a little story we got from ChatGPT, and I'll just read the story, and we'll look at some educational information. The title of the story is "The Thorn Beneath the Skin," written by ChatGPT. It goes a little bit like this: Deep within the vast, humming body of Soma, a single cell named Kale lived in the outer reaches of the limb called Armus. Life was good in Armus. Sunlight warmed the surface, blood flowed freely, and pulses of energy kept everything alive and buzzing. But one day, a change came. A strange presence nestled in the flesh like a whisper, an ache, small at first, easy to ignore. The surrounding cells murmured about it, calling it minor, A generic sort of disease, nothing urgent, just inflammation, they said. Just a little swelling, a bruise, maybe. We can ignore it. Easy to ignore. But Kale watched as Miner grew. Not wildly, not with drama, but with quiet persistence. He saw neighboring cells begin to twist in shape, some slow to respond to signals, others spreading misinformation. This was not just a bruise, Kale warned the nearby nerves. This is something deeper. If we don't act now, it will spread. Other cells in the body hesitated to the idea if we don't act now, it will spread. Other cells hesitated. Why cause pain for something so small, they said. It's uncomfortable, yes, but we're still functioning. Cutting it out would hurt the whole body. But Kale knew better. He had seen how such things grew, feeding on delay and hesitation. So Kale called upon the pain receptors and lit a signal fire that screamed towards the brain. The decision came swiftly. Cut it out now. Immune cells descended like a storm, and the affected area burned with heat and discomfort. The excision was not gentle. The removal of the problem was not gentle. It was uncomfortable. Tissues bled, nerves screamed, and the body trembled. For days afterward, Soma limped. The pain echoed. Doubts whispered, was it really necessary? Was it really necessary to cut out the problem? Was Kale too alarmist? But then came the healing. The swelling faded. Healthy cells returned to their rhythm, and deep beneath the skin, the roots of Miner were gone. The roots of the problem were gone completely. Had they waited, it would have reached the heart. Had they waited, it would have been worse. Years later, the scar remained, but so did the life of Soma. Um, the one who dared to act when the problem was still small spared them all much greater pain. An interesting story, possibly with a lesson. The, the pain of removing a problem can sometimes save the life of the host where the problem is. Ripping off a band-aid might hurt, but it can help the healing. So now moving on to um, some informational, educational content. I found this website. It's called burnerswithoutborders.org. A lot of different stuff here on the website. It says our network. I'm going to highlight a couple things that I noticed here. Our network. And this is the logo. This is the Burners Without Borders logo up here. Obviously, they have the name and the logo. And it says, what they are. You can go on ahead and read that. And they wish to be a mutually supportive network. Supportive, okay. Offers advice, connectivity, resources. They also, I noticed that they offer intellectual property licensing. So we know what that is, and there's lots of emails here as well. If anybody's confused, what the intellectual property is that they license. And there's different ways you can affiliate with BWB or Burners Without Borders. Moving on. They have ways to create a project. They have other stuff on the project page about the working groups and chapters, and then there's also affiliates. So you can find chapters and working groups. Here's they've got a whole list of them on their website. I did find interestingly enough that uh, the it doesn't say whether the official groups listed here are working groups or chapters, but you can see that some of them use the logo and the name. Um, I think there's one that doesn't use the logo here, um, which is right here. So I don't know if they still have the intellectual property rights. Um, but that's that. Um, and we can also see there's a regional network. And this is kind of like a level up. Um, and there's ways to get in touch, etc. Um, did find it interesting that they want to they claim that there's a culture, a global cultural movement, and the behaviors define the culture. I think you could say because you know you words are cheap, but behavior is ultimately what um, defines a culture. And everybody knows they have the Burning Man principles and culture. Interesting. And we can see some other references to what they want to do. We'll see. It's an interesting thing about the community structure, and they strive to offer support. They have a mission. Um, as you can see, they do have a structure. There's advisory committee, and all these people are listed. And right here, they have a feedback. Let us know if you have any feedback whatsoever. Um, I noticed that um, the ranger group also has a structure and a way to provide feedback. Um, so let us know here. So way to contact. They have a structure. There's an advisory committee, and then there's BWB headquarters. There's a whole headquarter volunteers. And then you can see down here, I know it's a little small in the YouTube video. See if I can zoom in. Oh, that's nice. You can see there's working groups and chapters that are under the headquarters, which are under the advisory committee. Okay, great. What else? There's in information about getting connected. Here it shows there's a difference between their working groups and their chapters. Um, Looks like working groups want to either discuss or produce a project. And these are oftentimes a starter point for groups that are interested in chapter status. Chapters are official. Chapters are an official and recognized group. And they are under the BWB intellectual property. That's what IP means. Um, they sign a intellectual property contract and a chapter agreement. Okay. They also get a higher priority and blah, 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 year-end report. Okay, so they have this chapter agreement if you're a chapter that the chapter has signed, apparently. What else? This was the network. They want to bring the 10 principles to influence the work. So I would think it's part of the values and the mission. Wonder if that's anything like the values, the mission, the principles are contained in the chapter agreement. I would think chapters, we need to follow these values. Um, Maybe they have to follow the 10 principles. Lastly, we have some information on the mission of another group. Um, they want to seek solutions. They say they have community leadership. They say they are a leadership program. What is it? It's a, this organization is, it's this, it's this, it's also a community leadership program. Well, community is about people. It's the people around where you are, I would guess. Um, a program usually has like some kind of structure or rules and leadership. I mean, you could lead in a good way, or you could have leadership that leads negatively. Um, I think some people would consider that not leadership, but like technically, you could have a leader whose goal is to produce harm, and they would be leading in that way. I think when most people read words like solution, support, community, um, and leadership, they also say they want to have positive change. Um, I don't think a leadership which produces harm would most a reasonable person would think that that is leadership. I think a reasonable person would probably think that leadership would go under the positivity, the community, which is people, the support, these positive words. Um, but they say it's a program, and they say it's about community, which is people. Interesting. Um, and they say the same stuff here. Again, they're about creating positive change. And they say they're a leadership program. Okay. Well, that's the information for today. Don't forget the story we went over today. The thorn beneath the skin. Um, might be a deeper story than you think. Um, but really, if not for someone sounding the alarm and just not hesitating and cutting out the problem, the whole body might have died, and that would be bad. It would be bad to leave a disease in the body, um, and just let the whole body die. When the body doesn't have to die. Um, it's kind of like the whole bad apple thing. People always say, well, one bad apple ruined the bunch. But really, that's not true. If you notice a bad apple, if you remove the bad apple, the bunch of apples doesn't have to get ruined. It's only if you wait and let the badness of the bad apple start to, the rot can spread. So you notice the bad apple, you say, oh, we got a bad apple in this bunch of apples. We just take the bad apple out and you save the bunch.